Hello guys, welcome to my channel. In previous video I shown you demo related to navigating to particular dashboard page and displaying dynamically sell item based on role. Like on the click of sign in button, I was just checking like if the email contains student, then I am just setting role ID to 1 and role text to student role. Similarly, if the user entered email that contain teacher, then I am just setting role ID to 2 and role text to teacher role. And after that I am just adding flyout menu details like if the role ID is student, then student related flyout item, and for the teacher role, teacher related flyout item, and navigating to particular dashboard page. So that thing I'm just doing statically, means here I just checking this all stuff statically based on email. So in this video I'm just going to remove this all stuff and I'm just going to integrate here API, and that API just going to return all the details like user details and the role details. Okay, so let me show you API that I'm just going to use for sign in. So here I just created a sample web application, and in that I'm just going to use this Authenticate API. So let me pass username, so this API is going to return data in this format like a token and the user details, and user details contain first name, last name, role and the role ID. So let me create service for it, so I will integrate that API in service. So here I am just going to add login service interface. Okay, now let me add class, it's called login service, and this class going to implement interface iLogin service. So in interface I am just going to add method, task and the response. So API response will be okay, so API response will be in this format, token and the user details. So let me see that class authenticate response, so it's going to return in this format. So I'm just going to create here response class in model like login response. Here I'm just going to add one token and another is user basic info class I am just going to use, and the name will be here user detail. This name is going to match with API response because we are just going to bind it like a token and user detail. So I'm just using same name, and here property also should be match. So in API I'm returning data in this format like ID, first name, last name, role and role ID. So let me add this property here. Just okay, so I just pasted this. Okay, now in a response I'm just going to add this login response class and the API name. Here I need to pass username and password in an API. So for that, let me create another model that going to that I will use in request. So that has a two property, username and password. Okay, so this model I am going to pass here as a login request. Now let me implement this method in login service class. Okay, so here I am just going to write API logic and post the thing in that I need to pass request URI and the HTTP content. So let me copy request URI of authenticate method. So this will be the URL and login here HTTP content. So I need to convert this login request into HTTP content. So for that, let me serialize this login request. Okay, now I'm just going to use here new string content, and in that I'm going to pass this login request serialized object. And the media type, so that will be application/JSON. So here I am just going to check that response status code is equal to okay. That means our username and password is correct and it's returning data in this format, login response. So I am just going to read that content as a string async, and after that I am going to return that in this login response format. And this JSON will be the form of login response, so it will be the type of login response. And if the response status is not okay, then I'm just going to return null from this API. Okay, now let me use this API in a login page. So here I'm just going to remove this now. Let me register this service first in MAUI program.cs. Okay, Okay, now this service I am just going to use in this page view model, login page view model. And here I will call API login service dot authenticate and new login request. Here username will be the email and password will be this password. Okay, now here I will check, like if the response is not empty, then that means that user is valid, and if the response is null, then it's returning some other request, either bad request or unauthorized. That means that invalid username and password. So let me just comment this code. So here right now I will just display valid user if the response is not null, otherwise I will display invalid username or password. Okay, now let me run the app. Okay, so we modified this user basic info class, so we need to here use some other property. So let me just create another property, full name, that's going to return okay. So I just added this email and the full name property. Here role text will be the role. Okay, now let me run app again. Okay, so it's throwing some error like unable to resolve services for login service. So let me check login service declaration here in login page view model. Yeah, so here I am using this login service class instead of interface, because of that this error was showing. So let me run again. Okay, so now it's working. Let me try to do login now. Okay, so now it's now throwing error while calling API, like clear text HTTP traffic to this IP address, and that because I am using here request URL in the form of IP address. Because of that it's showing error, so for that I need to allow clear text in Android manifest. So here in Android manifest.xml, here just add one attribute, uses clear text traffic and set it to true, then it will start to work. Okay, so here I just entered invalid username, invalid password, so it's showing now error as a invalid password. Now let me add valid password. Okay, now it's displaying as a valid user, and if I change even some invalid username, then it's going to throw error like invalid username or password. So now API is working correctly. Now let's see response, like in which format it's returning when we enter correct password. So that response is like here the token detail and the user details coming, first name, full name, ID, last name and role ID. Okay, so here I'm just going to set response dot user detail dot email equal to whatever the email we entered, so no need to fetch from API. Okay, now I'm just going to set this token detail and user detail in preferences like we did before. So I'm just going to now enable this code. So I will check like if the preferences contains a key app.userDetail, then I'm just going to remove, and after that I will just add this in preferences. So I'm just going to write this here. Okay, so here I'm just response dot user detail, I'm just serializing, and after that I'm just setting in preferences. Now I need to store token also, because that token need to use for other API like get user list in here if I want to access this get all user, then I need to pass token, because this is authorized API. So let me store now token. Here I am just going to use another variable, and token I will store here. So here I'm just going to use secure storage set async. So if you want to store some data in encrypted format, then you can use this secure storage set async method, and in that just specify the key and that value. So any credential information or something like that you want to store in encrypted format, then you can use this secure storage set async method. Now when the application launch, that time we are fetching this user detail on loading page. So here I need to set again that here I am just setting app.user details. So similar way I need to set that token detail also, so we can access that get user list API. Okay, so this token detail I will set here. Okay, now let me run the app. Okay, so now it's navigated to student dashboard page, and here it showing me as a student role. Okay, now let's try to log in using some different user. So for that I need to add some record in database. Right now I have only one record in database with this email test@gmail.com. So let's add some other user. So I'm just going to add here okay, so here now it's showing me as a user created successfully. Okay, now let me do login using that. Okay, so here is one mistake. Let me try to log in so I can explain you. Okay, so here in a response, that role and role ID is empty because I created a user but I didn't assign any role to that user. Because of that it's showing me that error. So let's add some validation here. then I'm just going to show error like okay. Now let me run the app. So I need to assign a role because I created just a new user, but I didn't assign any role to this user. So for assigning role, I have another API here, assign role to user. So here I need to pass email address and the role, whatever the role I want to assign. Okay, so I need to remove app now because that information stored in preference is big due to we didn't added any validation before. Okay, so here now it's displaying no role assigned to this user, and if I enter some wrong password, then it will throw me invalid username or password. Okay, so now let's assign some role to this user. So for that I'm just going to create one role. I have only one role in a table ESP. Let me show that role table. So here only I have one role, student role. So let's add another role in API. So I'm just going to add here teacher role. Okay, now this role I'm just going to assign to new user that we created. So this is this email vishal@gmail.com. Okay, so now role assigned successfully to user. Now let me try to log in again, then it's going to navigate to teacher dashboard. Okay, so now it's navigating to teacher dashboard page. So similar way, let's add another role and one user that has a admin role. So I am just going to create user, so that user, and let me create the role also. And this role I am just going to assign to this user, and role will be admin. Okay, so now let me log out and log in using this email. Okay, here I just did mistake, so that role is not assigned, now is assigned. Okay, Now it's navigating to admin dashboard page. Okay, now we are storing all the information like user detail and the token detail in a preferences. Like token detail we are storing in secure storage, and user detail we are storing in preferences. But what happen if the token is expired? That time like this application is not going to log out because we didn't return any code related to that. So let's write that code. So I need to write that logic on loading page view model. So here I'm just going to check uh, token expiration detail. So you can add that detail from this token. So for that I'm just going to install one plugin. So let me close app. So just install this system identity model token in your app. Okay, after installation you can write something like this. Here the token will be in this token detail, and I'm just fetching this token as a JWT security token. So here I will check like the current date and time is greater than token. Then here we will check like a token is expired. Please log in again and navigate to login page. Otherwise just navigate to dashboard page. Okay, now let's run the app and check that is session expired or not. So I'm just going to check here. Okay, so here is the token detail. It's a returning unique name and then expiry date and all stuff. So let's see here it's going. Okay, so here it's showing like now it's going here like user session expired, and again it login again to continue, and it redirect to login page. This because in API I set expires after 5 minutes because of that. Okay, so let's log in again. Okay, so now it's logged in. Now let me close the app and again reopen. So it's state login or not. Okay, so now it stayed as a login. Now let's do one thing. Let's set this expiry date here, like expire after 1 minute, and let me log out from here. And also I will rerun this web API. Okay, now that the token expiration will be after 1 minute. So let me now log in. Okay, so now it's navigated to dashboard page. Now I will open this app again after 1 minute, and let's check that it's navigating to dashboard page or it's showing me that token expired error. So let's try to open this app after 1 minute. So till that I'm just going to add another page that I'm just going to use to display that all the user list. So I will display in student dashboard page. So let me add that student dashboard page view model. And I'm just going to register here. Okay, now let me open that app again and let's check that it's expired or not token. Okay, so now it's showing me user session expired, login again to continue. Okay, so that detail you can set that stuff in a web API. Here you can set that token expired detail in a web API, and that handling you can write in this way, like I mentioned in a loading page. So like that you can add that logic. Okay, now let's add that get all user API in services. I login service. I'm just going to add here this API, get all users API. So first let me see that the response of get all user API. So it's going to return data in this format, like first name, last name, and gender. So I'm just going to copy this field. Okay, and I'm just going to create one model. User list response, and here like first name, last name, email, and gender. Okay, now let me implement this get all user method in login service. Okay, so here I'm just copy and pasting this, we don't need now this serializing stuff because we are not using post request, so we just need get request, and here API name will be get all users. And I will deserialize this API response in user list response format, and that will be the list of user this API going to return. So I will return data like if the HTTP status is okay, then just return this list of user, otherwise just return null. Now let's implement this get all user method in student dashboard page view model. And also I am just creating one observable collection of user list response so that I can display that data in collection view. Here I will check like if the count greater than 0, then I will add all user detail into this user's observable collection. Okay, now let's run the app and let's see like that user list detail coming or not. Sorry, I just forgot one thing in this get all user API. Here I am directly using get async, but this method is authorized, so I need to here add that authorization token before calling this API. So for that I am just going to use default request header and token will be the whatever the token we stored in this app.token. Okay, now let me run the app. Okay, so now it's returning user list, and that user list here it was adding record in this user's collection. So let's now on UI, let me add collection view to display data. Okay, so now it's displaying all the user information that is available in this ESP.NET users tables, and that I'm fetching from API using this get all users method, and here I'm just passing authorization and the token that I have set. Okay, so that's all for today. I hope you like this video, and please write a comment, like if you have any query related to this video, then just write it down in comment section. Thank you so much for watching.